from a diplomatic perspective, what is the value of hostages to Hamas, and how do you anticipate them uh, maximizing their leverage in that regard?
Yeah, well, I mean, we put a price recently on hostages about $1 billion apiece with from a monetary standpoint with Iran, 6 hostages, 6 billion, um, and then a few weeks later after that deal, there's American hostages being held by by extension Iran. So it's uh, we very clearly defined the value, monetary value of hostages. Now these hostages, um, are fungible, just like money is fungible. So one Israeli or one American hostage in Hamas, um, the barter that's been defined is you will release one hostage taken not in accordance with Geneva Conventions for 3 Palestinians that terrorists who were detained in accordance with Geneva Conventions. So that's a pretty outsized gain for the Palestinians, but this is the tough spot that Netanyahu who is in, is that if you've got parents there that I want my 3-year-old child back that's being held by Hamas, I mean, how do you say no to that
No, you
as a
can't.
leader? And understanding that you have an overarching responsibility to ensure that this never happens again. And so that tension between creating the buffer, defeating Hamas, and getting the hostages back is a very small eye of the needle to thread. And I think he's doing it. I think he's doing it well. The value notice that I think there's been one at the time that we're talking, one American, a young little girl released, and the other Americans are probably they're the $1 billion a piece hostages, right? So so the just the transactional value is 3 terrorists for one hostage, um, non-American, and then uh, one American hostage for $1 billion. So that seems to be kind of what if they're looking at a spreadsheet, what they ought to be able to get, which I'm sure they've developed. But it's larger than that too, because there's this. They're able to, they being the Hamas, is able to now dilute the anger. The longer this goes on, they almost appear benevolent. Oh, we're going to release 10 more. Oh, we're going to release 10 more. They could, at any day release them all and quit firing rockets at Israel, but they choose to, in a very barbaric, sinister way, hold these hostages. And they're not being held just by Hamas. They're being held by Palestinians. A doctor was holding one, a teacher was holding one. So, Israel's not far off when they say that, there's not as many innocents as you believe. If these people are holding the hostages, why not just turn them over? If you're a doctor and your duty is to first do no harm, or if you're a teacher
Yep.
used to dealing with children, why not on your own accord turn them over? And of course, the answer is because they'll be shot and killed by Hamas. So it's a barbaric situation there that we need to learn some lessons from this, and I'm concerned that maybe we're not.